Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. The last part we started off the game, and now we're actually very close to a very familiar location. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the R.P.D. And it's time for one of my least favorite things in the game.
Jill!
Brad!
We've gotta... Jill! Help! No!
Got two new things going on here. That lug and a live selection. These happen every now and then in the game, and they can determine your ending in some cases. You have a limited time to choose your options. However, whenever I come across this guy, I'm gonna say fight the monster. You want to wait until it's red though so you can dodge it out of the way. Either way, meet the namesake of the game, Nemesis. He's kind of an evolved Mr.X from Resident Evil 2's B scenarios. He's a bullet sponge, and a pretty threatening one at that, because he hurts. Base strategy for him though, at least at this point, just pump as much ammo as you can into him. You're going to be wasting a lot of it here, so be careful. And use the dodge mechanic to your best ability. I briefly explained it last part, but the way it works is if you press either the aim button if you're not aiming already, or the fire button if you're already aiming at the proper time, you can dodge an enemy's attack. In Nemesis's case, the dodge where Jill backs up is the best one. The one where she just ducks can be kind of fatal. And whenever you're running away from Nemesis, you want to go to his right, because he's primarily left-handed. He'll use his right arm to hit you, like just with a backhand and such, but his left hand he uses to grab you. And if he grabs you when you're at orange, caution, or below, I believe it is, yeah, let's just say he's gonna do the same thing he did to Brad to us, and that's an instant kill. Every time we're gonna be fighting him in the game, he'll fall once, but he's not done yet. He'll get up after a while. And we want to take him down the second time, because that's how we get rare items from him. One of the exclusives to hard mode is that any Nemesis, well, some Nemesis fights will actually drop rare items, and we want those because they are really good. Though in some cases, that's why I actually don't end up getting too good of a rank in this game. It is very possible for you to just run into the R.P.D. and progress from there, but, well, let's just say it's in your best interest not to do that. At least, on your first playthrough it might not be so, but repeated playthroughs, it's very worth going after this guy. Risk versus reward, but I just don't like fighting him because, Nemesis is the epitome of not only bullet sponges for me, but randomness in terms of his fighting pattern, because it's not like, say, Mr.X, who will only do 2 types of attacks. He'll sprint out after you even, and that can be annoying. Either way, we see him drop the item, which means he's down for now, and we get the Eagle Parts A. We'll see what those are for later this part, but let's check Brad. Card case. It's S.T.A.R.S Alpha Team member Brad Vickers. His face has been decimated. And that's how he became a zombie that gave us the special key in RE2. Which makes me wonder how much of his head was left around for him to become a zombie with. Ah, the good old R.P.D. Music hasn't changed, but we don't have access to as much of the area as we did in 2. More or less, we only have access from here through the S.T.A.R.S office. And let's use that and combine these two, because more health items is better. And let's check this. A card of some kind is inside the card case. S.T.A.R.S card. This leads into a bit of a puzzle that I'm just going to mostly bypass anyway. There are several S.T.A.R.S cards located through the R.P.D. that will give us a code for something we'll be doing in a bit. And there's a handgun ammo case, but I'm going to pick up the map that's over here first. As you can see, nowhere near as much of an area as it once was. And I'm kind of thankful, honestly, because if they just completely reused a good amount of the R.P.D., that would be very lazy. It's a good little nostalgia trip, though, to see it again. And I said it back in 2, and I'll say it again. I love the R.P.D. theme. So I'll take any opportunity to hear this I can. Either way, let's head into the, if I recall, this was just an office, wasn't it? Yep. Hey, Marvin, you in here? Ah, no, he's not. But there are zombies, and this guy is sprinting after me. Well, you're aggressive. This is a case where I should actually be killing these guys now to save myself some trouble later. But I just decided to wait until then when I have a more potent weapon for it. My goal right now, though, is to get into the office where we got something in the original game. And hey, Marvin, there you are, buddy. It's R.P.D. Officer Marvin Brana. He's been fatally wounded by zombies. He appears to be holding something in his hand. Marvin's report. September 24th. There are reports of a theft in the municipal building before dawn. A jewel-decorated clock at the main gate was damaged. 2 of the 12 gems that are installed on the face of the clock are missing. Due to the lack of available officers at this time, I have no choice but to suspend the research of this case. Signed, Marvin Brana. September 26th. Based on the autopsy report of a 42-year-old restaurant owner, I have discovered that he has one of the missing gems. He apparently took shelter in the police department at about 10 a.m. where he was shot to death within 10 minutes of having developed the symptoms. Since the city is currently under martial law, we're forced to suspend this case. At this time, we'll keep the gem as evidence. Signed, Marvin Brana. Well, it's good to see you again, buddy. Yeah, this is before Resident Evil 2, so he hasn't met Claire or Leon yet, depending on your scenario. I'm guessing he's just unconscious at the moment. Bitten, but not turned, because as we've seen, it does, as we've learned at this point, it does take a few days for the symptoms to set in. And there's the jewel. We need this for later. There's another item in here that's also very important. However, I can't grab it at this time due to me having a maxed out inventory, and I don't want to waste my healing items. Ah, we're back here. Every now and then, by the way, you will see me stop moving in places where it seems kind of strange. That's probably me trying to think ahead of what's coming up, because I do remember a good amount of Resident Evil 3, just not as much as I would like to, in terms of the enemy layouts, but even then, there's a bit of a catch-22 with that anyway. Anyway, let's store the blue gem for later. We don't need the S.T.A.R.S card at all. And eagle parts for later as well. Don't worry too much about the eagle parts for right now. We'll learn what those are for. End of this part, beginning of next. David's memo. My sanity is at its end. I still can't believe this is happening. We lost another man yesterday, Meyer, one of our better marksmen. He saw me panic once we were overrun with the zombies, but he came back to save me. But when the time came to return the dead, I ran. I can still hear him calling out my name. I can still hear the screams coming from behind. The sound of his flesh being stripped from his bones. I was afraid, terrified. It's the 27th. The fight to stay alive continues. I took out several zombies who managed to break through the barricades. Now I'm cutting through the chill with whiskey, unloading my Mossberg on anything undead. That shotgun's become a close friend of mine. I've blasted many a zombie into fertilizer with it. We've lost 13 men as of yesterday. In 3 hours, I'll bicker over trivial things in the meeting room. It's a total waste of time. When I finish this bottle, my old friend Mossberg will be turning one less body into fertilizer. Peace at last. I can hardly wait. Well, that's dark. Well, one thing we do want to grab is that there is, I believe, handgun powder in here. Yep. I believe I use that. It is wise to wow, that was oddly Scottish sounding. It could be wise to store the gunpowders for later. However, at this point, I am very low on ammo, so it's best for me to use it now. But just remember, don't use all your handgun A powders on handgun bullets throughout the game. Save some of them for later. Which ones? Well, that's up to your discretion. Either way, now I'm heading back into the evidence storage room because I can get that other item now. This is the puzzle that requires the R.P.D. S.T.A.R.S cards, because the password here is one of the numbers on one of the 4 of those. It can either be 0131, 4011, 0513, or 4312. This is one of the few puzzles I have most of the numbers memorized for, because it's 4 numbers. I can remember that. And emblem key. So now we can enter another area, and if you can't tell based off the logo, it's more than likely the S.T.A.R.S office. So let's head on up there. I do believe you can head towards the storage area just to the left of where you enter the R.P.D. in Resident Evil 2, where you first see like the liquor and such, but I don't think there's anything over there. I know you can definitely get to the area where you had to burn the painting to get the red jewel. Because there's a S.T.A.R.S card in there, but yeah. Either way, this is one of the first instances of slight randomization. Resident Evil 3 has a good amount of randomness to it in terms of enemy layouts and item placements. In that room, the 3 police zombies can either be at the one end or the other, and they'll move the fat guy in correspondence to that. That's one of the more innocent cases of it, but there are cases where when you go through one room, it'll have one enemy set on a playthrough, and the next it'll have a completely different set of enemies. Most of it's also in the R.P.D. itself. It can either be like 4 zombies or a few Cerberuses at this point. Either way, Barry can save us even when he's not here because there's 30 handgun bullets on his desk. Thank you, Barry. Thankfully, there's no film of Rebecca, but the S.T.A.R.S team member picture is still here. Either way, you can just see it barely on the fax machine over there, but there's actually a document for us. Let's read that. Fax from Kendo Gun Shop. To the boys of S.T.A.R.S, I have some good news for you from my brother Joe. He's finalized the new handgun for official use. It is the M92F S.T.A.R.S Special, but he calls it the Samurai Edge. It's the most balanced of the Kendo custom guns. Joe said if you miss targets with this, you should be carrying a teething ring instead of a gun in your holster. The goods will be delivered along with the proper documentation. I'm sure you'll be surprised when you see what the kind of excellent parts they're used for the M92F. I know that you'll want to thank the good people who developed it. Sincerely, Robert Kendo Gun Shop. Wasn't that the place we went to early in Resident Evil 2 on the Ace scenario? I think it was. Either way, there's something pretty important for us in here, and it's Jill's good old lockpick. Hello there. Also, I probably should have mixed this handgun powder, these handgun bullets while I was actually in the save room, but that's just minor error. Either way, in the place where Leon and Claire first got a weapon, there's now a weapon for us, the grenade launcher. This can also be the Magnum due to the randomization, but honestly, you probably want the grenade launcher first because handgun Magnum ammo is so much more scarce.
No! Come anyone! Our platoon is cut off! No survivors found! This is Carlos! Send in support immediately!
Well, it's good to see that someone else is still alive that isn't Dario Rosso in that freaking container. Wonder how he's doing. Either way, now that we have the lockpick, we have most of what we actually came here for, so we can leave this area and we're fine. I don't think anything's in the next room where the Pepsi machine was in the Resident Evil 2, so we're just gonna go. One thing I actually have to give 3 credit for, though, is that you actually have to think in terms of how you want to dodge the zombies. Because there are a lot of zombies in your way in 3. It's like we're in a freshly infected city. Nope. That sounded bad. Okay. Briefly. The audio theme that's playing right now. Whenever you hear this, be careful, because that means a certain someone is near and about to jump through a window. Hi, Nemesis. When I called him Mr.X earlier, I was not joking. He's a recurring boss fight. And I actually really like the audio theme that plays whenever he's near. In fact, if you listen carefully whenever you know he's near, you can actually hear his grunts in the background too. And now I need to prepare. I don't need the reloading tool at this point. You just want to bring as much ammo as you can, more or less. I don't know why I'm bringing the reloading tool. I forget why. I wasn't the most prepared during this playthrough at this point, obviously, because I was still getting used to the game again. Either way, now we want to dodge him and go into where Marvin was. Go straight for the door. Don't dilly-dally. Because you notice the theme is still playing, but I also want to grab... no, this is actually why I need the lockpick. It's for this. One of these lockers is openable, but it's always a bit iffy with me getting it. And within it is... Oh, that's why I brought the reloading tool. I need more shotgun shells. That's right. You can tell it's been a bit. Max out your ammos. Put on the grenade launcher or the shotgun. Doesn't matter which. I'm putting on the grenade launcher because I prefer it at this point. And remember the zombies that were in here? It's time for me to murder them because I need them out of my way. Come on, buddies. I'm all here. I would like it if you could saunter over at a bit more of a blissful pace, thank you. That theme is still playing, by the way. Pay attention to that. Aw, no headshot. That's lame. Ah, there goes one. Yeah, weirdly enough, you don't get the normal headshot effect anymore. Either way, reload. And the thing about Nemesis that makes him worse than Mr.X is, well, the moment you leave a door off screen, he follows you. He is a stalker. This is why it's actually very worth to take him out, because then he won't be stalking you. And very often from now on, he's going to be using a rocket launcher against us. However, a bit of abuse in this specific fight with Nemesis in this room, he has trouble getting past this couch. he can still fire the rocket launcher at you, and he can get past it. You just have to be standing in the absolute corner. But you can easily abuse this to get some easy hits off on him. I've seen playthroughs where people can just lock him in that corner, and he never gets out of it. I was just very unlucky. The only thing he can do to you after he uses off his rocket launcher ammunition is punch you from that, and it's pretty hit or miss whether or not he hits you. It's also here I'm going to need to apologize for something. One thing I was not aware of during recording this specific part was that my recorder was on the fritz, I'm assuming due to the amount of processing I had done that day in total. And because of that, the footage is going to start skipping around now. We're going to be missing upwards of 5 seconds at a time, at times in very quick intervals. And I apologize for that. There's nothing I can do to fix it. It's just the way it's going to have to be. Thankfully, you're not missing too much because a lot of it is Nemesis fight, but I'm sorry this happened, people. Thankfully, this was the last part I recorded on that day, so none of the rest of the parts should have this. And there's Eagle Parts B. We now have both of the Eagle parts, so we can go on. It really pissed me off to see that happen, but at least it happened during a Nemesis fight and not during any real cutscenes. Oh boy, that would have pissed me off to no end. Either way, with that, our business in the R.P.D. is concluded. Nice to revisit this place, but we fought Nemesis twice in here. I want to leave. As for where our next goal is, also I'd like to know it is now nighttime. Nice little detail there. We want to head back into this area, and there was a door I never intended to check it when we first went in here because it was locked. We need the lockpick to get through it. So, yeah. There it is, there in the bottom right. I actually end up using the map a bit more in this than I did Resident Evil 1 or 2 combined. Yet again, just due to due to me not being as familiar with this game as I am those two games. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3 we're going to be continuing on to Raccoon City, and hopefully avoiding Nemesis in the process. See you guys then.